Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I'm doing the ADC tier list for patch 13.20, so if you enjoy the content, like, subscribe, and let's get into it. To begin with, this patch is going to cover both 13.19 and 13.20. The reason I didn't do the 13.19 one was because there just wasn't a huge amount of changes, and then we had the buffs this patch towards Jinx, Youmu's getting buffed, which then affected a lot of ADCs, and then some builds popping up here and there, so let's cover them. To begin with, I want to talk about the 13.18 changes. So we had Jin, he's actually going to move up to the A tier. This is mainly because Lethality Jin has really started amping its way into the meta, being really strong with Axiom, Collector, these items, alongside the Youmu's. It can really synergize quite well together. You can then pick up things like the ODR, the BT, RFC if you're going that option. And yeah, he does a huge amount of damage. The ults are really valuable, as you can like pick up 2 kills and then you can refresh and do it again. That's also quite strong. Alongside that, with the Jin ult buffs alone, that is also just strong in general. So Jin definitely going to move up into the A tier. Bunch of nice changes there. Yeah. So the other one was Twitch. He had his missile speed increase from 4,000 to 5,000 units per second. I didn't really do anything. It was hardly noticeable, so he's also just going to stay in the S tier. Zoe is going to move down to the C tier with the static nerfs and the 5 movement speed she lost. She actually fell a bit in power. Overall, she sits next to Aphelios as being kind of like a pro-skewed champion. She is gonna sometimes pop up in the tier list, especially when builds change and people adapt playstyles and stuff like this. And other champs possibly get nerfed. But for the moment, she stays in the C tier. She's just not gonna perform to the same level unless she receives changes which kind of pro skew her. Moving on to this patch, which was 13.20, Jinx is the first one I want to talk about. I know a lot of people are going crazy over the 30 attack speeds. Jinx destroyed the entire base kind of thing which went on, but that is niche example at best. A lot of the time you are just picking up on one or two free things. I do agree that the spirit pushing and the sieging with it can be kind of obnoxious, and that they might want to cap the amount you can get with towers, but allow the champions to be the overcapping mechanic. I don't know if they will go that route, but it is definitely an option there. She is stronger, however. She received ult damage buffs and she received health growth, and she jumps up to the A tier. She fits in quite nicely along the list of hyper carries here. She doesn't quite reach the S tier, and the S plus tier obviously is where Ash is at the moment. I'll cover that in a second. But yeah, definitely gonna move up a tier. She's in a better spot. The health growth quite nice. Our damage was the AD ratio and the flat damage, so that going up was quite nice. The cooldown going down also pretty big. Yeah, quite nice changes there. Kaiser lost 3 armor. People joked about it as it being a very small change. It's not going to do anything, but 3 armor for an ADC is really valuable. It means that you're no longer as durable in laning phase. If you're taking, let's say, 3 to 5% more damage, then yes, suddenly that does matter quite a bit. You're unable to trade as much. You are squishier. Alongside that, she lost base health not too long ago. So Kaiser going to drop down to the B tier. I do think this champ has builds which can make her function in games, and her real value comes from her build diversity, but a lot of the time people pick the wrong builds in the wrong games, and that kind of drags her down a couple of tiers. If she was optimizing her builds and picked the right ones in the right games, you're going your Liandry's, your Ludens, your Ginsu's, your Dustblades, stuff like this in certain games, then yes, she can be good. But yeah, if you're building her incorrectly, then she does sit in the B tier. Moving on, Swain is going to be the first time I want to talk about, which isn't adjusted this patch, and that's because he's going to move up to the S tier. Swain ADC is performing really well at the moment. Alongside the likes of Seraphine, he's just really strong as AP frontline damage tanky carry. Yeah, he can function well with Rylai, Zonya, Liandry being your core mythic. I know people like going Jack Show, but I would really recommend just sticking to Liandry's. Other than that, if you're going a tanky option and you're running on a cheaper budget, then Radiant Virtue is a good option there. Yeah, alongside that, Demolic's really valuable Swain item because he makes good use of the health to AP conversion. You can also pick up things like Morellonomicon, Gargoyles as last slot items. I would recommend just sticking to Gargoyles though, as Gargoyles is a really valuable tool, as you have a lot of bonus health stacking which can feed quite nicely into the shield. Alongside that, the resists are also really valuable when you're not picking up a lot within your build. I would recommend sticking to Sorks, However, you can go like the Mercs. I would not recommend it though, unless like you're into a really heavy CC comp, then you do have to go that as an option. Other than that, you can pick up things like, or you can go things like unflinching. If you can drop over go unflinching, you can go conditioning or second wind. Bone plating is also there into like really heavy burst bot lanes. If you're picking Swain into like an engaged support, like a Nautilus maybe, then bone plating is an option there. Other than that, you can also go things like Seminary. I know that was quite popular last patch. With the rune adjustments, however, I don't know if it's performing to quite the same level. You can also go things like Arcane Comet. But yeah, for the most part, you can just go Conqueror and be a good frontline sustain tank. Moving on, Ashe is going to drop down to the S tier. Not because I think Ashe is suddenly weaker or anything, but she fits in quite nicely alongside all these other AD carries, which are really strong at the moment. The likes of MF got better with the lethality mythic buffs, like Youmuu's gaining the 7 lethality. Huge fan of her. She was really strong with this item, going the first strike. Youmuu's Collector, BT, LDR, Axiom Arc, they're all really good options for her. Ashe just inherently like really strong at the moment. Can go things like goes things like the Kraken, the Triforce. You can build Phantom Dancer, BT, LDR, all these items are really good on her. I know some people still go like Ginsu's Wit's End. I would definitely just recommend sticking to Triforce, but that is an option there. Karthus, another really strong APC, does a huge amount of damage, really strong trading, good mana sustain. He's just really strong in the bot lane at the moment. Ezreal, really safe, high damage, makes use of the high amount of CDR in the game at the moment to just refresh cooldowns and just continue pumping out a cycle of damage. Vayne, with the static Triforce build, fixes 2 of her core issues, which is tankiness and wave clear. And that makes her really strong at the moment, especially if you're going with QMax variant. Nyla, really strong pairings with like your Tarek, stuff like this. Makes her really strong within the meta at the moment. If you're getting good Rs and you're landing your Qs, then yes, she does output a huge amount of damage. Collector Rush, Navori, BT, LDR, these are good options for her. Twitch, still really strong. Bork into Runans is the best way to go from what I can see. You can then pick up things like the IE. I would recommend going IE over Ginsu's, however, it does come down to personal preference in certain circumstances. Yeah, if you want the high attack speed, then yeah, Ginsu's is there. If you want the high amounts of AD, then IE is an option. You cannot of course go things like Collector, and then yeah, you finish out the build, LDR, BT, really good options there. Most builds do finish up with a BT LDR. Kog'Maw, really strong pairings as well with the likes of Braum. Huge amounts of damage early on into a game, especially if you're like W starting and you can just output like you just output a huge amount of DPS. You do also scale incredibly well as well. I don't know if Runan's Rush is the way to go anymore, but used to be what was really good on Kog'Maw. I'm actually going to quickly have a look because I didn't do research on Kog'Maw before this video. Bork, Ginsu's tend to be his most favoured first options. Ginsu's does outperform Bork. Ginsu's into Runans, into the likes of Bork or Wit's End, and then you can go Titanic. You can pick up Randuin's, not that it's cheaper. GA is an option there. Yeah, you got good options on Kog'Maw definitely. Kate is actually going to move up to the A tier. The lethality mythic buffs are, the Youmuu's buffs are really strong on Kate, especially if you're going with first strike variation, where you go first strike, Youmuu's Collector. You can pick up an Axiom Arc. You can go things like Edge and then like LDR, BT, standard late game ADC things. That is also really good. Finishing off the S tier though was Ziggs, really strong with the collision buff on his Q. Makes him a lot more consistent. Still just a really good APC though. And then yeah, Swain is the addition, just being a really good frontline APC damage threat. Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next one. Goodbye.